let's not beat around the bush with this one. You want to blow stuff up in this game but need a little help. Well, never fear, for I am Ian, and this is my Streets of Rogue character guide to the Demolitionist.
What makes me a good demo man? If I were a bad demo man, I wouldn't be sitting here discussing it with you now, would I?
The Demolitionist is acquired via the Character Pack DLC, meaning just like the previously covered Alien Bouncer, Courier, Goon, and Mech Pilot, you'll have to pay extra if you wish to play them. As for his description, it reads, "Why build when you can destroy? After flunking out of architectural school in their second-to-last semester, the Demolitionist has spent the past few years taking their revenge on every standing structure in sight. Upon becoming mayor, the Demolitionist hopes to take aim at the real enemy by canceling all student loan debt." Before I start naming off the grocery list of explosives you get as your starting inventory, let's cover your starting stats and traits first. We shall begin with your starting stats, since that's the easiest part of this character to explain. You have an average of 2 in everything. Sure, that's nothing amazing, but it's better than a sharp stick in the eye, that's for certain. As for your starting traits, you start with a personal favorite of mine known as Blast Survivor, which makes it so that all explosions you create don't do damage towards you. Just bear in mind that I said explosions you created, so if you're standing next to an explosive barrel and someone shoots at you, you're still taking that damage. Also remember this trait only applies to you, and not any followers or allies you might have on the floor, so be careful of friendly fire as you go about the floor using your inventory. Your second trait is Master of Disaster, meaning you gain XP from the amount of property damage you do on a floor, which combos very well with your big quest, which we'll get into later. Your last trait is Tech Expert. Remember how you can do all sorts of crazy things when you're hacking into computers and such with the hacker? Well, you can do that with a Demolitionist as well, but you don't have the hacker's laptop, meaning you gotta root around for some hacking tools if you want to do that stuff. However, since you don't start with any hacking tools and there's no guarantee you'll even see any on a typical run, this trait will probably get the least amount of mileage of all your starting traits. Something you will get a ton of mileage out of, however, is your starting inventory. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this character, shall we? You start with a bomb processor, which lets you convert any item in your inventory into remote bombs, which you start with 3 of. This processor is unique from its contemporaries. This is because unlike the food and ammo processors, which have a set number of uses before they are used up entirely, the bomb processor actually has infinite uses. However, instead of making items every time you put something into it, it actually charges up based on the value of the item you put into it. If you overfill in excess of what is necessary to produce your next bomb, the value will actually carry over to the next explosive in progress. So don't be afraid to use this item in lieu of the Cellomatic. In fact, I encourage you to do so, since you'll be needing a lot of explosives with this character. As for how you activate these homemade explosives, that's quite simple. Simply use your remote bomb trigger, which will set off every single remote trigger bomb you created with your bomb processor that you have lying around the floor, regardless of distance. This means that as long as you are on the same floor as a remote bomb and that bomb is not inside your inventory, it will explode once you hit this trigger. However, if you wish for stuff other than your remote bombs to explode remotely at your leisure, you'll need to use your explode device, which makes it so that all electronics such as arcade cabinets and security cameras on screen will detonate upon activation. You also start with 3 landmines, which are great for burst damage in tight situations, since your remote bombs require to be carefully placed and then manually activated, which can be a bit of a hard thing to do in the heat of combat. So if running down a hallway while placing bombs isn't an option, chucking a landmine at someone's face at point blank is actually a very good idea with the Demolitionist, since your Blast Survivor means you won't be dying from that explosion. The last item we have yet to cover in your starting inventory are your 3 door detonators. You place this on a door, and 10 seconds later, or whenever someone opens said door, it explodes. I recommend playing Ding Dong Ditch with the NPCs with these items. Just remember to make sure that the cops don't see you place these things on the door when you do. All of these items make you more than well equipped for your big quest. Speaking of which, let's cover that next.
Oh, they're going to have to glue you back together in hell!
Your big quest is called Rubble Rouser. In this quest, you must destroy 75 wall tiles per floor. Because of your plethora of explosives in your starting inventory, the trait Blastmaster is a must-grab, since you will no longer have to ask pesky questions with this trait, such as, is this explosive-proof? Because explosive-proof no longer is a thing with this trait. The trait Wall's Worst Nightmare is also helpful for this, albeit unreliably, since it's random on whether or not you'll be able to punch someone through a wall or not. Better yet, if the building in question is made of wood, you can use a flamethrower, or, if you have the Burning Bullets trait, any gun, to simply set it on fire and watch it burn down, because, as the smart among you noticed, the quest only said that you had to destroy 75 wall tiles, not destroy 75 wall tiles with explosives. But let's be honest with ourselves here, that's not gonna stop you from using explosives. So when you inevitably start placing your remote trigger bombs, I consequently advise placing them next to every generator you can find in order to maximize their potential damage and destruction. You can also place them in advance to stage large-scale prison break. After all, it doesn't matter how far away you are from the prison, so long as you have the bombs placed and you hit the trigger, those NPCs will be free and ready to vote for you, unless of course they're killed by the prison guard, so be mindful of that. This is also a great way to neutralize or rescue NPCs at your leisure. I also advise taking any items used for opening stuff stealthily, such as lockpicks or window cutters, and just shoving them into your bomb processor. After all, you have a laundry list of explosives in your starting inventory and a quest that requires you to maximize damage. Stealth is not a factor for you. And when you're placing your remote trigger bombs to kill NPCs for whatever reason, bear in mind that 2 will be more than enough to kill most NPCs, save for the killer robot. I also simply must recommend the Shop Drops trait, since shopkeepers will inevitably be killed by the blast radius of your explosives as you go about your business on every floor. And for obvious reasons, Gigantism is extremely powerful on the Demolitionist, more so than other characters, since you can kill a lot more birds with just 1 stone here. Just bear in mind as you start placing explosives that the world border walls don't count towards this mission. All in all, I give the Demolitionist a C4 out of 10, because where you see 1 man, I see 4.
How valiant of you, Sir Penwood, defending your post down to the last man.
But that's where I must rebuke you, because where you see 1 man, I see 4.
C4.
When you get to hell, tell them Penwood sent you, and then apologize on my behalf for the inconvenience.
And so that concludes every single unlockable character in the video game Streets of Rogue. Be sure to like the video if you did. I'll be covering custom characters and how to build your own in the near future, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. I've been Ian, and I thank you all for watching. Farewell.